This is episode 305 of Jumble Think.
T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to Jumble Think, where we interview dreamers, makers, innovators, and influencers all about their journey of turning their dreams and ideas into reality. Along the way, we're going to share some tips on how you can turn your own dreams and ideas into reality too. On today's show, our guest is Peter Neill. More about Peter in a moment. Whether you're a new listener or a longtime fan, if you've never subscribed to Jumble Think, you should go do it right now. Head on over to your favorite place to listen to podcasts, search for Jumble Think, and click subscribe. To make it even easier, you can head on over to jumblethink.com, find links to places like Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Pandora, and more, and click those links right to your favorite podcast app. Now let's jump into today's conversation. Hey there, welcome to Jumble Think. My name is Michael Woodward. I am your host, and we have a great conversation, a great show for you today. Now, this week we've been doing something different, trying something new. It's a theme week where we talk about one theme. We have 5 guests. This week we are focusing on the world of real estate, from very simple investing in your first house to very complex ideas around real estate syndication and joining larger groups to invest in bigger projects. Super fun conversations, a lot of different perspectives. All of these conversations come from an event we were a part of called PodMax, which brings together some great thought leaders, some amazing entrepreneurs, people who are chasing the dreams and ideas they have and sharing their stories, their tips, their insights with us. There's another PodMax coming up in a couple weeks. If you're an entrepreneur, if you have big ideas and dreams, it's an event you should check out, podmax.co. Now, today is our last episode in this themed week, and we have saved a very cool conversation with you. It's with a guy named Peter Neill, and I learned a lot from this conversation about the more granular, the more detailed levels of real estate and how you can really take your investing into real estate to a whole different level. Now, today's conversation is with a guy named Peter Neill. He is the Vice President of Investor Relations for GSP. He is chiefly responsible for fulfilling the company's capital raising goals by communicating and marketing the company's private offerings and maintaining key relationships with the company's investors. Peter began his real estate career working in marketing and sales for PPR Note Co. This gave him the ability to learn all aspects of the distressed mortgage business. He quickly transitioned into investor relations and raising private capital for PPR's private fund offerings. He managed the process of raising over $80 million for 6 offerings and helped grow their fund investor community from around 200 investors to over 600. During his time there, Peter learned the ins and outs of the distressed mortgage business and had a firsthand look and active role in transitioning the company from mainly acquiring second position mortgages to acquiring both first and second position mortgages. Peter purchased his first rental property, a duplex, at the age of 24, utilizing an FHA loan. He is also the founder of Accredited Life, a lifestyle community and personal finance development brand for accredited investors, soon to be accredited investors and their families. He holds meetings in the Philadelphia area once a week and one-on-one sessions in person and over the phone. Peter graduated with a BA from Temple, where he studied media business and entrepreneurship. He's an avid dog lover who looks forward to adopting his first GSP soon. This is a super fun conversation, and it's an aspect of real estate that a lot of people don't know about. So let's go ahead and join the conversation we had at PodMax with Peter Neill.
Hey, this is Jason Pfeiffer, the editor-in-chief of Entrepreneur Magazine, and you're about to hear another episode that was recorded here at PodMax, an awesome experience for entrepreneurs to get on top-rated shows all in one day. I hope you enjoy.
So we are here with Peter Neill. Peter, thanks so much for being on.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
I'm excited about this interview because I'm not quite sure where it's going to go yet. And
Sure.
Did some research. We chatted a few minutes before we started, and excited to see. I know you're definitely an expert in your field, which is all about the world of investing, and especially when it comes to real estate, right?
Yes. Yeah, real estate and notes.
Notes.
And raising capital is my field of expertise when it comes to that. So I do, obviously I could do construction management, property management, things like that. But my bread and butter is in raising capital, building rapport with passive investors, accredited investors mostly, and trying to provide the best experience that I possibly can to them.
Nice. So your job is to get people to trust you.
Exactly, yeah.
So that they can invest in properties.
Yeah, exactly. So that they can invest in a company that invests in properties.
Nice.
Yeah. So trust is a big
with
one.
you, they're investing actually in the company, not actually in the property?
So they own shares of the company that owns the property.
Okay, so we're jumping really far into the conversation, but that's okay. We're going to do it anyway. I'm assuming, you just said that they're investing in the company that owns the property. Mm-hmm. To me, that sounds like you're setting it up an LLC or some kind of property management company for each property?
Not for each property. So to give you an idea, like we have a fund that's raising capital right now that focuses primarily on real property, residential, income-producing property. It's a $6 million fund, and to give you an idea, like that $6 million would come out to about 72 properties.
Okay.
So,
but you're setting up multiple different companies then?
Yeah, exactly. So we have another fund that focuses primarily on the note side of the business. So it buys first mortgages, typically vacant.
Okay.
Our goal is to build our income producing portfolio of workforce affordable housing. So whether we do it in the real property side or we do it in notes, that it's really the same. It's the same end game at the end of the day. But there's different entities, like you said.
Yeah. So it sounds like it's very similar to a fund
it
for
is
stocks.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Okay.
That's a good way to look at it.
I've heard the term notes. I have some friends that operate in the space of notes. I'm still not completely sold on what they do from the understanding of like,
Sure.
hey, I'm sold. I understand.
Sure.
I'm not there yet. Tell us the difference between investing in property versus investing in notes.
Sure. That's a great question. It's something that comes up a lot. So a note is the promise to pay the mortgage. So the way to look at a note is it's a real estate backed asset, but it's paper. You're buying the paper. So and the paper is collateralized to the property. So if they're paying, if it's an occupied note, occupied home, and they're paying, it's kind of like it's similar to a turnkey rental.
Yeah.
It's a passive income stream. If they're not paying or there's nobody there, and that's kind of our specialty is vacant first mortgages, you're going to work through the foreclosure process. So you're going to take the property back, and now I call it pre-REO. You know what I mean? So now it's just like a hard asset at that point.
So if you buy a note, do you actually own the property once you pay off the note?
That's how it works. In regular primary residence space. Once the note is paid off, now you own the property. You know what I mean? So it works the same way. Like once your note, it's a depreciating asset. So that's a big difference between real estate and notes. To go back to your question on what's the difference there, real estate builds equity. You know what I mean? Each payment, you're paying off the note, and you're owning more and more of the property, and then you have the equity in it at the end of the day. You always have taxes and insurance. When it comes to that's
you gotta love our government.
Exactly. You never really own the property in that sense. But the same with notes is it's depreciating. So you're paying. The homeowner is paying the note down. You know what I mean? You do have a false sense of appreciation, which will back the value of the note. If equity rises in the market, property values go up. But at the end of the day, you're paying that note down.
So if I buy a note, I'm not buying the property. You're buying the
promise to pay the mortgage.
Okay, and somebody else is paying you.
Exactly. Yeah.
So you're kind of the middleman between them
and the bank.
Yeah. And if that person stops paying, you still pay.
Well, yes. I mean, but if you own the note, they're paying you, so you're just not getting payments. It would be like a tenant not paying. But you have, in a tenant situation where you can evict, you have a foreclosure situation in that. So if you can't get the homeowner back on track, then you have the right to foreclose. Whether it's a deed in lieu, depending on the state that you're in, that kind of thing.
If I buy a note, I'm just buying the position of the middleman.
You're becoming the bank, essentially.
Okay. So somebody's still buying the asset from you. You are holding the asset.
The homeowner does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically you become the mortgager.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
All right, cool. So one, you're buying the property and you're buying the asset itself. The other, you're buying the mortgage, the payments that somebody has to make. And then you're making the money either off of interest or you're making money off of an additional fee. So if the mortgage cost is $1,000, you're charging $1,500 plus 2% interest or
But
whatever.
you got to think as the bank, so you're making the whole thing.
Yeah.
Principal and interest.
Okay,
But
so
you have your initial investment too.
Yeah. Like I said, when we started, we jumped the gun right into the conversation. We're going to back up now.
Sure. Okay.
All right. I love origin stories. I love the story of how we go from idea into reality. That's what we're all about. Like, dreams and ideas are awesome, but until you actually make them reality, they're just a concept. Good concepts never fulfilled or just there's not much there. Mm-hmm. For you, where did this spark? Where did this idea start to say, entrepreneurship maybe, real estate maybe?
Sure.
Going a different path than what everyone else has told you
Yeah,
to
well,
do.
that's been a common theme for today and PodMax and all. I grew up in a very traditional household. I'm from Philadelphia, in the Philadelphia area. My parents, they achieved their American dream, their goal of American dream, moving out of South Philly and the row homes into the suburbs, the picket fence, all that kind of stuff.
I thought the American dream, the Philadelphia dream was to see the Eagles win.
Oh, yeah.
And that's
they
been
achieved that too. Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
especially
everyone
my
else,
dad. My mom, I don't know if she cares, but for my dad, yes, without a doubt.
It was actually a joyous thing for us too. Where I'm in Central Pennsylvania,
unbelievable,
so
and I was there. I was there with my dad when we won the NFC East. So that was unbelievable. I was there at the parade. I actually went to the World Series too. So I could die happy any day now. Take me. So it's. My parents were more on the traditional side. My father's a property manager. He works for CBRE. My mom's a Catholic school teacher. Mm-hmm. So I knew of real estate. My father works on the commercial side. So I knew of real estate, but I didn't like what he did necessarily. I didn't see myself doing it. You know what I mean? So I ended up at Temple University, and TV was kind of my thing. I always liked TV, radio. So I studied media studies and production, and my track was like media business and entrepreneurship. And so my idea, like entrepreneurship, was like producing my own show or something like that. So when I got out of school, I was looking for something, and my mom actually found a job in marketing for a financial company, a real estate investment company. It ended up being PPR and Dave Van Horn. So meeting Dave and getting in there, doing marketing and selling courses and things like that was kind of my first taste in real estate as an investment instead of just like a job. And then we sold a lot of courses and things like that, so I also saw it from like a note investor standpoint and what's there. And then PPR is it's a small business, and it was 30-some employees at any given time while I was there, and we grew from a smaller office into a bigger office. So it was definitely my foray into entrepreneurship as well. So I very quickly realized I wanted to be Dave more than I wanted to work for Dave. You know what I mean? So that was kind of within the first couple weeks or so. You know what I mean? Not that I think it's important. I think it's very, very important, especially when you're young. And a book that's really has been on my mind right now that I just read was The Apprentice Model by Dr. David Phelps. And I think it's very important, especially at a young age, to work with people that have done what you want to do and have great experience. But like you said, there always comes a point when you have to take action and you have to make your dreams a reality. So at the beginning of this year, I decided I would leave PPR and start my own personal brand and start raising money for my own funds.
So you started GSP REI with somebody else?
Yes, I did. Yeah. So a really good friend of mine was the one that introduced me to my partner, Ron. And this was at the beginning of the year, and we spent about 8 months together or so. And I pretty much knew I really liked the workforce affordable housing model. I liked we knew a lot of the same people and all that kind of stuff. So I pretty much knew we were going to end up doing something together. But I wanted to take the time. I'm a relationship guy, you know what I mean? So, and I'm not the kind of, it takes me 6 months before I'm comfortable with somebody, so, and I went to go to all the properties and just see how he manages the team and his crews and runs his business and all that kind of stuff. So the company's, the name of the LLC is L2L Investments, and that's Ron Lockhart and Joe Larkin is another one of the partners. And when I came on, they're using personal money and they're using some bank financing, that kind of thing. I came on to expand the brand into 506 funds and private placements and grow our investor community. So we don't want to be reliant on personal money and bank financing, especially when people talk recession looming and that kind of thing. I mean, we want to have a list of accredited investors and private lenders, people that can invest and want to invest passively, because at a time like that, I hate to say we look forward to it, but we kind of do. You know what I mean? Like anything in the market like that creates opportunity for someone like ourselves.
I'm curious. You go to Temple to study media,
yes,
and marketing,
mm-hmm.
and you leave not intending to go into real estate.
Sure.
Do you feel like that was an exciting discovery, or do you feel like that was a journey that was kind of disappointing? Or
oh my God, no! I wouldn't be doing what I was doing today if it wasn't for that. You know what I mean? Okay. And to give you an idea, when I started at PPR, I was a temp. Okay. You know what I mean? Like, so I thought, I'll be here for 30, 60 days, and I'll
it was to fill a gap.
Exactly, yeah. It was to make money and fill a gap, like you said. But like I said, within a couple weeks, it was like, this is where I'm supposed to be. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm the kind of guy where I'm a go with the flow kind of guy, and I learn from my experiences and what's got me to where I am. And if I feel like I need to make a change, I certainly will. But at that time, I really felt like this is where I was supposed to be. And I was doing, being out of school and just having some experiences in my life. I wasn't sure what I wanted. So, I grew up Catholic. I still am. I have a my personal relationship with God and the universe is very important to me. So I through prayer and meditation, whatever you want to call it, I kind of felt like this is where I was supposed to be. And I have another brand that it's my personal brand. It's a lifestyle brand, community experience, that kind of thing, called Accredited Life. And it's for, accredited investors, people that aspire to be an accredited investor.
Do you mostly work with just accredited investors?
Through the funds, yes. Since it's a 506c, they have to be accredited. I need to have representation.
I thought with some of the legal changes over the last couple of years with SEC that there could be unaccredited and
sure.
What's the other term?
506B will take a non-accredited investor up
like
to 35.
There's caps on how much.
Yeah,
sophisticated. Yeah. Because I know there's companies like Republic that allow you to do crowdfunding into equities for startups and some other great resources out there for that kind of thing. So
sure.
But you don't work with that kind of stuff?
No, not right now. The way our funds are structured, it's all 506Cs. I do invest in some, like you're saying. They're typically structured as Regulation A's.
Okay.
So they'll allow non-accredited, accredited. There's still some you can't invest a certain percentage of more of your income or net worth and things like that. But it's, accredited investor, it just makes more sense. We can advertise, for a brand that, we started, the company's been around since November of 2018. But like I said, using personal money and things like that. So this GSPREI, the brand, to give you the backstory on that, it stands for German Short-Haired Pointer. And that's where the dog and the title comes to. And,
okay.
We look at we're very aggressive on the asset management side, and German Short-Hair Pointers are aggressive hunting dogs,
hyper focused,
extremely, yes, and very energetic, and we're the same way. And I mean, I'm not aggressive on the sales side. Maybe I could be a little bit more, but I'm not. You know what I mean? Because I'm in this for the long haul, so I want. Yeah, I want people
to build relationships.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. It takes time, and I mean, it just takes time. And I don't want anybody to do anything that they don't feel comfortable with. You know what I mean? So if it takes more time, I'm around. You know what I mean? So however many, and I'm like that personally. And I mean, like I said, it took me 6 months, before I wanted to jump in bed, that kind of thing. You know what I mean? It's just that's the kind of guy I am. So I respect it a lot in other people.
I have a lot more questions. We're going to get to those in segment 2. As we move towards the end of segment 1, we always ask a couple questions. The first one being, how are you finding purpose in what you do?
Sure. Well, within the business, within GSPREI as a business and why I like to do it, workforce and affordable housing is in such a high demand all over the country. So I like that a lot. I like that when I go to work and when I raise capital, when I deploy capital through our funds and all, that it's going towards something that's very needed, that's fitting, great people, quality, hardworking, 9 to 5 and hardworking people. And I mean, so I find that as great purpose. And then, I'm an experienced guy, you know what I mean? So providing a great experience for accredited investors, people investing passively, I think you said the magic word trust, that gets me going. You know what I mean? I find a lot of purpose in that. I think it's very needed. So I'm a people person, whether it be on the investor side or it's with our tenants and growing, the experience on both ends. I think it's very important to provide the best experience you can.
What is one challenge you're currently working to overcome?
It's a new company. You know what I mean? It's a new brand. You know what I mean? So it's none of our first time at the rodeo. You know what I mean? I've been in the business for 5 years. I'm 27. You know what I mean? So sometimes age can get in the way. I don't like to look at it that way, but some people do.
Yes, people seem to like the bald guy with glasses.
Exactly.
Looks like your grandfather.
White hair and raising money go together. You know what I mean? It's just because it perceives experience, that kind of thing. But a lot of it to me is who have you been spending your time with and what have you been doing? You know what I mean? And that's why I'm very fortunate to have spent so much time at PPR and so much time with Dave and the investors and other syndicators and things like that. But, just getting over that hurdle, like I said, my partners have all been doing this for, going on 25 years each. I think when we added it up, it was over 80 years of combined experience. Yeah. So it's just getting over that, has been the biggest thing. And it's like anything. It just takes time,
What's the next big dream, idea, goal that you have?
Sure. Well, obviously growing the family, the investor family and getting, I say short-term investments, long-term relationships. So, okay. To me, I'd like to be, friends with you and business partners with you till I drop dead, which hopefully won't be anytime soon. But accredited life, to go back to that, like my personal brand and kind of community, hopefully, be working with PodMax and these guys on a podcast together and then, starting to do events and things like that and just growing the community. The accredited life, I could talk about that for days, but it's not just about building wealth. It's holistic, you know what I mean? So it's self-help and wealth. So, just trying to live the best life that you possibly can and make an impact in ways outside of investing as well.
We're going to take a break right here, and when we come back, we're going to continue the conversation with Peter Neill. There is a lot going on here at Jumblethink, and we want to keep you in the loop. What's the best way to stay in the loop? Head on over to jumblethink.com where you can sign up for our newsletter or click one of those magical buttons that will take you to places like Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter. Let's connect because when we chase our dreams together, it's more likely that our dreams and ideas will become reality. So head on over to jumblethink.com and let's connect. Now let's continue the conversation with Peter Neill. We are back with Peter Neill. Before we dive into more of this conversation, important question we've got to ask. Everyone wants to know, how can they find you?
Oh, they can find me online, of course. gsprei.com is my website. You can schedule time with me over the phone, in person, easily through there. Phone numbers there, emails, pneil, it's Neill, 2 L's, at gsprei.com. And, email me, set up time with me. I'm more than happy to give you my cell phone, and you can text me, call me, whatever time works. And I do weekly webinars with my investors and potential investors, so every Friday at noon, I'm on that, so I'm always accessible through there as well.
Super, super cool. Well, before I dive into that, all of that will be in the episode notes. So wherever you're listening, just check down below. You'll find those links so that you can click on them. They'll take you right to the site. We make it easy for you. So check out the episode notes. It's all there. There is so much we could talk about. I know that you're based out of Pennsylvania.
Yes. Yeah, Philadelphia.
Is that where most of... I know you said a lot of your properties are rural focused.
Suburban, I could say, yes.
Yeah.
We do a lot in the city as well, though.
Okay. Are you Pennsylvania only, or is that... Do you actually... So I think of notes and I think of investments a lot of times. And there are a lot of people I know who do these kind of instruments, and they may send out an agent to check it out, but they never actually see the actual physical property.
Sure.
So for you, do you guys go out, see them? Are they kind of local to where you're at? How does that look?
Yes. Well, that's a great question. We don't invest in anything that we can't get our boots on the ground on.
Okay.
So, and like I said, since our specialty is all-in-one in-house asset management, we have our crews, our project managers, our construction managers on site every day. So we invest throughout the Mid-Atlantic. We have property in Philadelphia and in the suburbs of Philadelphia, throughout New Jersey and in Maryland. We've been looking in Kentucky and other places, so we like the Mid-Atlantic. We like, on the note side of the business, we're in about 22 states more than others, which are mostly on the East Coast of the country.
Yeah, notes are a little bit different than physical
notes.
property.
Yeah, exactly. Notes are a little bit different, and there's just certain markets that we like, and like I said, there workforce affordable housing is big to us, and that's needed all throughout the country. So I there's definitely possibilities that we could expand outside of that, but right now everything in the portfolio is no more than about a 2-hour drive or so we can get there, and we like that. And even when we look at other places like a Kentucky or something, we could fly there and get back within a day, kind of a thing. I mean, get there and get back, or we maybe keep a unit and stay overnight, that kind of thing. But since our bread and butter and our specialty is doing all that in house, we want to, we like to have control in that sense. And I mean, we really want to make sure that we're hitting our time frames and our budget, and we're getting the project done as quickly and in the best possible way as we can.
Now, for you, you are saying that each of these entities have multiple properties on them. So
exactly, yeah.
If I come and invest with you, are new properties being added to that portfolio, or is it pretty much locked in once you're ready? Like, hey, this is our entity. We've got these 70 properties. We're not adding anything else.
Sure. Well, it works both ways. Yeah.
Okay.
So obviously within a raise, like the first $1 million, $2 million, or whatever, it's all being deployed and adding up. You know what I mean? So. The first offering was a little bit different. We put our money where our mouth is, and we went out and we put together a portfolio of about $4.5 million in assets, which came out to about 30 buy and hold properties, and then about 10 resales. So we do both, but our goal is primarily income producing buy and holds. And then once we get the buy and holds in place and they're rented out and all, and they're seasoned a little bit, we do a portfolio loan. So we refinance the investors out. It creates liquidity for the fund, along with some of the resales that we do. The money comes back to us. That creates liquidity. A lot of that also just gets redeployed into more assets. So, like I said, like $6 million will come out to about 72, and then we just open up another entity and we do it all over again.
In this process of trying to find the properties, trying to figure out what you're doing with building these entities, and then having investors, what do people need to know about? There are a lot of companies that do stuff like this. What do they need to know about the process of investing in companies like this?
Sure, that's a big question. You know what I mean? That's a loaded question. So I guess it depends on the kind of person you are. You know what I mean? Some people they invest in people. You know what I mean? Yeah. So they want to know that they're the management team's experienced and they know what they're doing. That's important. You know what I mean? I wouldn't have partnered with my guys now if I didn't feel that they were. You know what I mean? And since they've been doing it since the late '90s, so it's just like they've gone through different cycles and the crash and all that kind of stuff. So it's shaped their model and the way that they operate the business today. So I think that's important. And then obviously the numbers. You know what I mean? Like I have my 4 T's of raising and investing passive capital. Number 1 is tangible. Okay. So it needs to be tangible. You know what I mean? Like for what we do, we buy houses, we renovate them and we lease and manage them, or we sell them off. So it's pretty easy. I mean, chances are you've lived in a house, you know what I mean? Or an apartment unit or something like that. Timing is a big one. You know what I mean? That's why we do workforce and affordable housing. You know what I mean? Because like I said, it's just in such high demand right now. Yeah. There's a lot of these vacation and short-term rentals and things like that that's taken product out of the workforce affordable side. There's a lot of syndications out there now that are pushing C's and B's up to A's if they can, that kind of thing. So it's created, just more need for inventory in the workforce housing and affordable housing side. So timing's important. So you want to look at, whatever strategy you're doing, how's it at, where's it at in the market and that kind of thing. Where's it going? Trust, if you don't trust the deal, you don't trust the people, manage it and all, I'll move on. Go to the next one or keep in touch and see what happens, that kind of thing. And then transparency. What are they providing? We do financials quarterly. Like I said, we do those calls Friday. So I think you're always, my advice to somebody who's doing due diligence on that, is it tangible? Can you understand it? Is the timing make sense in the market and all? Do you trust the people putting it together? And are they transparent? I think they're the most important thing.
What are some of the red flags that you'd say watch for these things, and if you see them, proceed with extreme caution?
Sure. How much transparency are they providing? How open are they? Do they want to talk to you, or they just want your money and then they don't want to hear from you anymore? So having the door open, being available is extremely important. Obviously I'm going to be biased about, new funds. I think you should give them a chance. But look at the management team at the end of the day. A brand's a brand. So maybe the brand hasn't been around for a while, but like the syndicators may have been, so look at the management team, look at their experience, and can they do they have a track record, to show that they can do what they say they're doing.
There comes a point in which you have to assess your own risk.
Yes.
What are the numbers that you say, if you're not willing to invest X, it's probably...
Sure.
Because, there's other instruments that they could be investing in, whether it's a mutual fund, whether it's stocks, whether it's an IRA or a 401k. There are different instruments that they can use, and for some people, I'm sure this is not the right investment.
100%. Yeah, if you're not a passive investor, then this isn't right for you.
Passive being like, hey, I'm going to sit on the sidelines and let you manage it.
You're going to put money in, exactly, and just kind of... And just get the numbers and ask the questions and stay in touch. But you're not going. You can come to the properties with somebody like myself. Ask that question. Can I go to the properties? That's important. I'm more than happy to take you to any and all the properties and that kind of thing. So that's something you could ask. But I think. Ask what was it? Just give.
Yeah. So I was just asking, like, there's probably a minimum for you to actually make it a viable investment.
Exactly. So our minimum is $25,000. You know what I mean? So if you're not willing to put up $25,000, then obviously it's not for you. But there's other opportunities out there. There's funds like a lot of those Regulation A funds. Sometimes they'll take $100. Stuff like that. So another thing too is invest directly in the house yourself. Like go out and find somebody that if you want to be a private lender that'll do you a mortgage, or do it yourself. Like I think that's the big thing with notes and just anything. It's like you can be collateralized to a portfolio that owns a 50, 70, whatever it is, a couple hundred assets, or you can be collateralized to one-offs. And I think it's important to do both at the end of the day. But like you said, it all depends on your situation. I think that comes back to too, like with who you're working with and all. Are they asking questions? Like because it's not for everybody, like you said. And that's my biggest thing is I'll ask a lot of questions. If you call me or we talk, because I want to make sure this is a good fit for you and that you're a good fit for me too. Because like I said, we're in bed together in that sense. Like so it's just like I want to make sure you're the kind of person that I enjoy to talk to and be around and to get a coffee with or dinner or whatever it may be. So don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to, if somebody doesn't want to provide the transparency or they've been around a long time and they feel like their track record should speak for itself or something like that. It's just even older funds can get too comfortable in the way they're doing things, and the market changes. So it's just because they've been around for a long time isn't an assurance. It's you hear this all the time, and in the finance world, past performance doesn't equal future. That kind of thing. So it's just like. You gotta ask the right questions and just take the time and don't do anything you don't feel comfortable with.
I'm going to pivot here a little bit into a topic that has absolutely nothing to do with anything we're talking about. I hope you're okay with that.
Sure. You sparked my interest.
You mentioned early on in the episode that you come from a very faith-filled tradition.
Sure. Yes.
I do too. I pastored at a church. I was a youth pastor and worship pastor, and actually planted a church for several years in Northern California. And faith informs so much of what we do as individuals. How has that been a foundation for what you've done in life?
Oh, it's everything. It runs through every single aspect of everything that I do. And I see, like I have a very personal relationship with God. It's something that that concept and whatever people want to call it, I mean, it's something that I see from within myself. So I try to look at everything that I do as, kind of being a voice of God, you know what I mean, in that sense, and trying to just, trying to make people feel loved and cared for. So whether it's, it's in business or it's in my regular life, but I think ethics and morals is a big thing when it comes to business. And, a lot of times I stay away from talking about that in real estate because sometimes it can be, I don't want anyone to think, think that, because it's like they're kind of, it could be icky when they go together in a sense, but me personally, it's a big thing. I mean, I'm more than happy to talk about it with people that ask the question.
Yeah.
But it's not something I usually will just put right out there because to me, in business, we're doing a purposeful, impactful investment, and the numbers make sense, that kind of thing. But like you said, it definitely is the foundation for me, and like just transitioning from where I was to where I am today, I'm constantly in tune with myself. I take a lot of time, like the whole point of the show and all of being active and making your dreams a reality and that kind of thing. I think there's a dance between going out there and doing it and at the same time spending that time with yourself in prayer or meditation or, just silent time, because chances are God is, or the universe, whatever you want to call it, is talking to you. You know what I mean? And it's trying to tell you where you want to be. And that's like to go back to your question of like, was I when I got to PPR and all that kind of stuff, and is that where I wanted to be? It was like, because I've created such a foundation of, in silence and in prayer with myself, I can just ask the question and the answer's there. I know it.
We have a seriously important question to ask right now. It's been debated for ages. Best Philly cheesesteak.
John's roast pork.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you're not going with Pat's
one?
or
no, not my Pat's. No, I don't want to offend anybody.
Or
I've had
Geno's?
Pat's. I like I said, my parents grew up in South Philly. That was a second home for me. My grandma was there. I would go to Geno's before I went to Pat's. But
I like Geno's. I'm a fan.
I like Geno's more. But John's roast pork is my number one favorite. My mom makes the best. I'll give it to her. She makes the best. Come over sometime and we'll set it up, and I'll my mom will make it for you. But if I was going and get it out, definitely John's roast pork. Start off with Delaware Ave.
You are in a space that can be impacted by politics, can be impacted by the stock market, can be impacted by so many different outside forces.
Sure.
Stuff that you could do everything you're supposed to 100% right.
Yes.
But a situation hits and really changes the dynamics of what's going on.
Yeah.
Is that something you think about when you're making these decisions?
Without a doubt. Oh my God, yes. Yeah, without a doubt. And that's why I'm doing workforce affordable housing and not something else. You know what I mean? Like, and not that I wouldn't look at doing other things, and I certainly do. The thing that led me to Ron was a sports facility. Was putting that together, and it was something that I still want to do, and is a goal of mine. But I look at what's going to make sense at a downturn, like what you're saying. You know what I mean? Like, and that's why I see a lot of those people living in the Class A's and luxury apartments moving out of those into workforce and affordable housing, that kind of thing. So I see it staying consistent in that sense. But I think you have to hope for the best and plan for the worst at the end of the day. You know what I mean? Like, so, and a lot of in real estate and in notes and all, if you purchase right, our average discount to market is around 55 to 57%. So it's like, the market would really have to take a huge hit in order to not be able to sell it off and make your money back. And at the same time, it's just like I said, like the demand, the vacancy rates and workforce affordable housing are super low. It's very consistent. It consistently beats the overall housing market, that kind of thing. So that's why I like it. I always liked it. That's why as soon as I met the guys and they were telling me they did affordable housing and all, I was like, let's get together. You know what I mean? I like that a lot. So that comes up, you know what I mean? And that's not just in business, but it's in life in general. You know what I mean? Like, so you got to get that inside game right. You know what I mean? And like I said, you just hope for the best, you pray for it, and you plan for the worst, and everything is a good can be a good experience and a good learning tool. And like I said too, like my partner is going through the crash and surviving and losing properties and things like that has certainly shaped where they were today. That's another reason why I felt very comfortable with what we had put together.
We're going to take a break right here, and when we come back, we are going to do rapid fire questions. This week has been a lot of fun, and I hope you're enjoying today's episode as we wrap up our week looking at the world of real estate. We want to thank PodMax for helping to set up these interviews. Next week on the show, we have a killer guest, and you're not going to want to miss this episode. His name's Robin Dreek. He is a former FBI agent. We talk about his specialty, which is behavioral analysis, and how you can better understand and read people around you. We talk about his new book and much more. It is a killer conversation, so you're not going to want to miss that episode with Robin Dreek. Now let's jump into rapid fire questions with Peter Neill.
Levez seulement le bras pour mettre l'aiguille sur le disque. Mettez le contact.
We are back with Peter Neill for our last segment, the dreaded rapid fires. Are you ready?
I am ready. Come at me.
As a child, what did you want to be when you grew up?
Oh man, I wanted to be a TV host actually, and that's what I said. It's written on the wall, I think, still on the whiteboard in there. Like this is a slice of heaven for me here with what they've put together, PodMax and on-air brands and all. Like I love this stuff, so I wanted to host my own TV show.
What is one tip you'd give someone with a big idea or dream and they don't know where to start?
Call somebody. I mean, I would say, find somebody that's doing something similar to it and call them. You know what I mean? Or write them an email and get an informational interview, that kind of thing. But don't be afraid to ask questions, and the sooner the better.
What is one change you would like to see in the world?
In the world, I'd like to see people, growing up in Philly, I'd like to see people be nicer to other people.
Show some of that brotherly love.
Yeah, exactly. Actually show some of it. You know what I mean? Like, I think I'd love to see more community. You know what I mean? Like, I look at myself as a community organizer, whether it's with, growing the investor community and growing the Accredited Life brand and community and all. So more community and I love that kind of. I'm the kind of guy when I walk down the street, I like to look at people and say hi and bob my head or whatever it is. So I love that kind of stuff.
What do you want your legacy to be?
Just somebody that that made people feel good. You know what I mean? Like at 27, it's something I think about, but I'm more of a day-to-day guy than I am thinking about how I'll be looked at when I'm gone. But as long as I like to talk, you know what I mean? Like, but as long as I made people feel good, I'm happy with that.
Where do you find inspiration?
Other people, you know what I mean? Like, without a doubt, through my parents are constantly inspire me. Coming to an event like today with PodMax and being around these types of people and all, it's a huge inspiration for me. The Accredited Life, that whole brand and community kind of spawned from, working with Dave and going to his groups and things like that, because it wasn't real for me until I actually saw other people doing it.
What is one book you think every dreamer should read?
That's a good question. The one that's fresh on my mind right now is something that I just read a couple weeks ago, and I'm in the process of rereading. It's called The Apprentice Model by Dr. David Phelps. Especially for a young success, somebody that's young and looking for success, or even somebody older that's looking to, for a touch-up or looking to rebrand themselves or something like that. I found it to be just an unbelievable guide and something that, a resource to go to. And then one of my personal favorites is Win Friends and Influence People.
For you, how do you define success?
Enjoying what you're doing. You know what I mean? Like, to me, it's not money based. Obviously, I think that comes with any success at the end of the day, depending. But I think finding joy in what it is that you're doing.
What is one trend you're currently excited about?
workforce and affordable housing, and I guess podcasts too. You know what I mean? Like it's been around for a little bit now, but I just keep hearing more and more of it. So you know, but I don't even know if you consider it a trend. I see it around forever. Same workforce, affordable housing.
What is one habit you find helpful in your life?
Yeah, talking to other people. You know what I mean? I think sharing your challenges and your worries and your and even successes and things like that with others, and opening up and kind of talking it out, I think is a big one.
What is one thing you wish you would have known when you first started out?
That's a good question. Yeah, I guess the social media side of things. You know what I mean? Like I'm the same way. Like I'm a nature, outdoors kind of guy. You know what I mean? I love face-to-face conversations and things like that. So you know, I've been in the business for 5 years. I've met a lot of amazing people, and I don't really, I do a little bit of the social media stuff, but it's time. You know, it's consistent. You know what I mean? You got to set time for it and be consistent with it. So,
if you weren't doing what you're doing today, what do you think you'd be doing?
Oh man, probably speaking. You know, what I mean, some type of personal development. You know, minister, like you said, something like that. You know, what I mean, anything involving people, I can find a way to be happy doing it.
Our final rapid fire question: what is one dream you want to still fulfill in your own life?
Well, grow in that community. You know what I mean? I'd love to someday have a my own band or tribe, whatever you want to call it, a community of people that I can live my life with, you know what I mean, and share values with, and just and love, and I think that's important. I think everybody wants that.
So we wrap up. We always like to have our guests have a final thought. What do you want to say to all of us listening to wrap up today's show?
Sure. Well, I think it's important, to go back to the theme of the show and the theme of the podcast, to make you're the one that's got to make your dreams a reality. So no matter, what you do on the coaching, mentor side, all that kind of stuff, you got to you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink, that kind of thing. So, take action. Like I said before, if there's something that you want to do, call somebody that's done something similar to it, or just call anybody and just start talking about it. And don't be afraid to ask questions, and you'll be surprised where that can lead you. And stay positive.
Peter, thanks so much for taking time out, being with us today. Wish you the best in all that you're doing and creating.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for having me. I enjoyed it a lot.
Well, that does it for today's show, and it does it for our first ever themed week. All episodes about real estate. We want to thank Podmax for hosting these conversations. It's been a lot of fun to partner with them. You can check them out at podmax.co. We want to thank Peter Neill for taking time out and being on today's show. Super fun to chat with him. And if you missed any of our episodes, these 5 episodes all about real estate, or even our preview episode with Alex Felice, I really encourage you to check them out. It's been a lot of fun to see and talk about a topic from various perspectives and points of view. Now, here's the deal. Ideas and dreams only happen when you put them to practice. If that's the only takeaway you've taken from this last week, that's a great takeaway. All of our guests took a leap of faith into the unknown to chase those dreams and ideas. So now it's your turn. Until next time, get out there, chase those dreams and ideas, and change the world around you.
En avant, en arrière, sur les côtés. Vous êtes une autre personne. Les mères de famille, les enfants, peuvent également prendre un moment revitalisant. Dans quelques mois, lorsque vous aurez bien saisi la technique et que vous serez maître de votre corps, vous pourrez vous décontracter même en travaillant.